results. Mother Nature did not cooperate last week as all of our racing action got washed out, and that includes Southern Iowa Speedway races last Wednesday night, and on Saturday the Knoxville Raceway, Eddyville Raceway Park, and the figure eights and what cheer all were washed out from unfortunate Mother Nature uncooperation, if you will. So we're not going to have any results for you. We will talk a lot about what's coming up because this is a busy week. If Mother Nature does cooperate, we're going to have a busy week of racing, not only on Wednesday night at Southern Iowa Speedway, which is loaded with fun action that we're going to be talking about throughout, but also Eddyville and Knoxville are going to have fantastic racing action as well. It's Super Wednesday at the Southern Iowa Speedway. That is something that we are going to be harping on quite a bit as we hope to get back to action for the first time in 3 weeks. Among the items on board are the Sprint Invaders, who will be there. Of course, we've been waiting on the Sprint Invaders since 3 weeks ago, but unfortunately Mother Nature not cooperating, so we are going to have those this week with the Carl Chevrolet dirt trucks, the IMCA modified, stock cars, sport mods, hobby stocks, and sport compacts as usual. A little bit of an early start for the racing action. The hot laps start at 6:45. The racing will begin at 7:15. As always, we're going to have play-by-play action from the races. That will start at 7 on 104.9 FM KBOE, and you can also hear the Southern Iowa Speedway pre-race show at its normal time at 6 p.m. until 6:30, so be sure to check that out as well. It's the Slideways Karting Center night at the Knoxville Championship Cup Series in the 410s, 360s, and 305s. That includes military members and free with a valid military ID, so a fun night of action over at Knoxville Raceway planned, and then a full weekend over at Eddyville Raceway Park for the drag racing. On Friday, it's the Friday Fun Night. You have on Saturday the points race, and then on Sunday they also have a big points race as well, so good action going to be there as well. Now, since we don't have highlights to show you or any recaps from any of our tracks in our area, we do have a few drivers that we're going to be talking about their career and what they've got going on so far in the early portion of the season. We'll have Austin Paul from Monroe, we'll have Safe Grafke from Oskaloosa, and Danny Thrasher from Agency all on the show here this evening. So we'll get right to it. We'll take a break. When we come back, we are going to get right to it. Austin Paul will be joining me here on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Lunatic Promotions is bringing you 2 nights of action with the largest demolition derby in the state of Iowa. Ranked as one of the top 10 derbies in the nation, the T-Bone Memorial Derby is June 9th and 10th at the Southern Iowa Speedway. Come watch hard-hitting drivers from all over the country battle in the full-size and compact class. Don't miss the T-Bone Memorial Derby, opening Friday night, the 9th at 7 p.m. at the Southern Iowa Speedway in Oskaloosa. Like Lunatic Promotions on Facebook. Sigourney Body Shop is the intelligent choice. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that great service and reasonable prices are the reason Sigourney Body Shop is the #1 body shop in the Sigourney area. They do auto and truck collision repairs, glass replacement, body and paint work, free at-home estimates, are complete service specialists, and they offer pickup and delivery and a loaner car. Sigourney Body Shop at 210 Clark Street in Sigourney, or call 641-622-2022.
Race fans, the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum is proud to announce our Salute to Champions Sammy Swindell exhibit in our museum this season from June 1st through October 1st. Stop in and view 6 of the sprint cars that Sammy's driven during his illustrious sprint car career, and our exclusive Salute to Champions Sammy Swindell t-shirts and posters to match Sammy's race cars on display will be available inside our museum store. That's the Salute to Champions Sammy Swindell exhibit beginning June 1st and running through October 1st. Only at the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville.
Welcome back to the Checkered Flag right here on KBOE Radio and on the No Coast Network. I am currently being joined by my first guest of the evening and first of 3 drivers we'll be talking to, and that's Austin Paul. Austin, thanks so much for joining us.
Nice to meet you.
All right, so Austin, drivers are fun for me to talk to. I've not had a chance to cover racing before, so getting a chance to talk to somebody who's willing to sit behind the wheel in a dangerous sport and be able to race frequently, especially against a lot of other guys that are trying to not only beat you but beat each other out there on the track. You are racing in a sport mod, and you're from Monroe. How did you get into the sport of racing? How did you get interested in racing, and what led you to this point in a sport mod here in Southeast Iowa?
Oh, well, my parents used to go to West Liberty every Saturday back when I was like 4 or 5 years old. We would always watch like Ron Boyce or Brian Burkhofer, Denny Eckridge back when they raced there back in the day. And I always told my parents that's what I always wanted to do when I got older. So, you know, I ended up coming the age of 8 or 9, got a dirt cart, started racing a little bit. We met up with Larry Ball with the Dirt Karting of Outlaw team. So we started going places a little bit like Missoula, Montana and stuff we'd race. And then we ended up starting in a sport mod in 2010, and after that we've just been racing more and more. So
Sport mods are interesting because they are one of the more powerful cars that are out there, and there's a lot of great competition. You have picked up a couple of wins the last couple of years as well. What do you think of the sport mod fields? You got guys like Curtis Vanderwall, a lot of fast cars that are out there. We only got a chance to see him a couple of times so far this year, but is that the division that you kind of enjoy being in, and how did you choose to be in a sport mod?
Oh, I enjoy it a lot, but yeah, Curtis, he's a whole different story. He's just good. He knows what he's doing all the time. Him and Corey, there's no doubt about it. If you can ever beat him, you know you're somewhat doing something right for sure. So we kind of just jumped from dirt karting to sport mods, and then kind of like to work the way up to late models someday if that's possible, but one step at a time.
Yeah, we saw some late models the last time we actually had some racing, doing some hot laps there. Very, very fun to watch. So with the way that the season has gone, how have you kept yourself sane with the weather not playing nice with the race season? You only had a couple of chances to race over here at Southern Iowa Speedway, but are there other tracks that you like to try to hit on a week-to-week basis? How often have you been able to even get in the car and go out and drive here the first couple of months of the season?
Yeah, we haven't been able to race much at all this year. I think it's only been 3 times, West Liberty once, and then Oski the other couple of times. And we shoot for the weekends, but it just always rained out. Like last week, we tried, Iowa, we tried tracks in Illinois, and we tried tracks in Missouri. And it's just all of them were rained out except for one in West Plains, but that was a 7-hour drive, and that wasn't happening. So.
That doesn't sound like a fun part of the gig, but you obviously are keeping the car, ready for the next time. What have you thought about your performance the first couple of times over at Southern Iowa Speedway?
Oh, we've had better for sure. We're kind of dealing with a fuel pump issue of some sort. We're not getting the fuel pressure that we're needing at all this year. We dynoed it just fine, and it ran just fine at West Liberty, and then we came to Southern Iowa Speedway, and it's just running not the greatest as far as fuel pressure. So, but we're working on it. So.
What kind of team do you guys have? How much is it just you working on the car by yourself? Who kind of helps you out? And what are some of the things that you've been able to tweak to get yourself to victory lane a couple of times in your career so far?
Oh, well, we have a pretty good team. We have Mike, that's our mechanic. He does quite a bit of the work. He helps me set up and change tires, that sort of thing. And then we have my parents. They're a great deal in it all, of course. And then my brother, Chad, and my fiance, and couple college friends. They're a big help for sure. So when you talk about wanting to set up the car, you want to drive it a certain way it needs to handle for your preference. How do you like to drive out there? What do you want the car to be doing if you're going to be running up in the front? I prefer the car to be tight, but my mechanic hates that, so he prefers slick. But yeah, and there's just something about a tight car that I just know I can actually drive. So.
Is there, especially at Oskaloosa, is there a specific line that you prefer to drive, or is it just kind of on a night-to-night basis and depending on kind of where the guys in front of you are running?
I prefer kind of, I'd say 2/3 up the track if that's possible, depending on the surface and everything like that, but otherwise maybe down low or on the top, whichever's the fastest I'm cool with, as long as the car sticks and doesn't tap the walls, all I care.
Well, that's a good strategy. And what I find interesting, not only about the sport mods, but everybody that runs at Oskaloosa, is the fact that we talked about some of the good drivers, but it does allow for a lot of different guys to compete towards the front. You get a couple. You get to run your hot laps, then you get to run your heat race to get kind of a feel out there. What have you seen from the groups that you've seen out there in the sport mods thus far? As you look to try to compete for a season championship at some point here at Southern Iowa Speedway.
Guys always get better, no doubt. It's just a weekly thing. I mean, you got the Carters, you got Vanderwall, and you just Lowry from time to time. I mean, it's just. You always got good guys at Southern Iowa Speedway. It's basically the track to race at if you ever want to become a good racer, because everybody that's almost anybody races at Southern Iowa Speedway, and if you can do good there, then you can almost do good anywhere because of how fast-paced the whole track is. So.
And as much as you like to go to different tracks as well, it's good to see that kind of talent. I've talked to Curtis as well, and he thinks this year's going to be really tough for the sport mods. If somebody's going to win a lot, they're going to have to be on their game each and every week and adjust the car. So finishing second in points a couple years ago in 2015, that's kind of what we're talking about here. You have to have very consistent finishes. But how did that come about? Because not only do you have to be consistent, but in this sport that we're talking about, you need some level of luck as well. So to put together a great season like that, to finish second in points, what could you take away from that season? What did you take away from 2015 that you're trying to master here as you want to eventually become a champion?
Yeah, last year we finished pretty good being second in points and everything, but I mean, Vans Racing, they're a huge help, no doubt. They're always on their game. They always have, advice, or if you ever have a question, they know how to answer it. So if you ever need help, you definitely want to go to Vans Racing for sure. They always have the answers for stuff. But I mean, it's just, you're always kind of almost chasing your tail almost sometimes, because you're always wondering, well, what's that guy doing, for this race or something like that. And then you're studying the track just to see if it's either tacky, wet, slick, whatever it may be. Yeah, it's just a never-ending battle, really.
When you're sitting in a sport mod and you have a night like we had a few weeks ago where it was rainy in the morning, and tacky probably was the right word. What's the difference? Like, how do you scope that out? Is that something you get when you're on the hot laps, or when you're in the car? Does it change as the night moves on? How does the surface affect how your car handles, or how you like it to handle?
Oh, everything changes everything, no matter what it is. But I mean, obviously, if it's a heavy track, which is wet, the dirt's probably going to be a little wetter. I mean, it's going to be darker in colors. You're not going to see that shine over it like you would a dry, slick track sort of thing. And I mean, it just changes a lot of things to shocks and staggering and what else may be. So
how much do you get a chance to kind of make those adjustments before you actually get out there on the track and get a chance to go try and win, if you notice something in your heat race or something in the hot laps?
Oh, I wouldn't even know. Maybe 25, 30 minutes, depending on each race, and if there's any cautions or reds and that sort of thing. I mean, you're always wanting to change your setup more towards closer to the time of when you actually have to go out, of course, because the track is always changing no matter what. So
that does not sound like it's going to make for an easy week at any point. So for you personally, how much do you pay attention to other racing circuits like NASCAR, or do you follow sprint cars? What are some of the other interests you have in racing?
Oh, sprint cars, that's a whole nother story. I don't know about those. I'm more of just a late model modified type of guy, and I'm just
it's
no
all
thanks.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's all been the dirt tracks for you. So.
That's a whole different story. We won't go there.
Right. All right. So when you talk about that, it's not like when somebody says they're a real big NASCAR fan, it's all at their fingertips. They can just, any information they want to know, they can just go on.
It's so easy to race a race car.
Yeah. But when you're talking about these, learning about these kind of cars that you're driving and the late mods that you're interested in, the idea of, you're actually going to have to go out and watch the races, hook up with some guys who know what they're doing, and now you find yourself, in a race car. How long, you're probably still learning quite a bit on a year-to-year basis, but how much, time and research did it take for you to, figure out what these guys that are where you want to be eventually are doing to get yourself put to even when you started, in the smaller karts earlier in your career? How much effort did it take to try to learn as much as possible from those guys? Because it's not like NASCAR where you can watch it on TV every night of the week or go online and learn about stuff. You actually have to go out and make a concerted effort to learn about these things.
Yeah, that's a whole another story, you can just never stop learning things about your race car or any kind of race car. If you're just starting out, you definitely want to hook up with somebody that knows what they're doing for the most part, always staying consistent, that sort of thing. And people just think it's as easy as just jumping in, driving, I remember being in high school and my friends would be like, oh, well, anybody can just sit behind a steering wheel and just turn left, even though we're not really turning left that much. It's just things like that. It's like, I'd love them to just get in a race car, just steer it, floor it, it's totally that easy when it's really actually not.
Right.
When you got setting up and everything else behind it, because, it takes a lot of effort to get stuff done. The more effort you put into your car, the more successful you're going to be, no matter what. That's just how it is. So.
Okay, so with that being said, your particular car, you've had some help on it. You were able to mention your crew. Is there any sponsors that you've had that have been able to help you along the way as well?
Oh, for sure. You got Willis Auto Campus, Vans Racing, DMAC. You got Udemark Farms, Story Ag, Ozinga. Let's see, Hoosier by Vans. Nottoway Ag. I mean, there's just quite a bit.
And what I find interesting is that the racing community, and talking to Curtis Vanderwall, we had him on the show a couple weeks ago, it's a situation in racing where people are routinely helping each other out. They like to see each other be successful, and that's what I find to be very interesting. Who are some guys, you're a young guy yourself, so maybe this doesn't make a lot of sense for you, but who are some more inexperienced drivers that you've been able to talk to and befriend and maybe help out a little bit as they try to learn their way in racing?
I have a couple of friends that are just starting up, I mean, two of them actually have a sport mod, and they're trying to get up on their feet, and start out. I mean, you're going to run to a whole bunch of rough stuff no matter what it is. You're brand new, you're going to buy one part, and it's not even going to be the right part because I may be running something and I suggest this, and it could just not even work at all. It's just one of those things. It's a whole bunch of trial and error, and it's going to definitely test your patience no matter what. So. Okay,
so when you talk about that, you talk about anything, if there's a kid out there that's listening or watching this show, what is the first step into, learning, or if they want to be a racer, what's the first thing they should do?
Follow your dream, for sure. I remember going to West Liberty every Saturday night, and I would always, sleep on it and everything, be like, man, I want to drive a race car. That's just how it is. And, you got those friends that are just always like, oh, that's not going to happen. That's impossible. It costs way too much money, and it's not going to happen. Well, it can obviously happen because I've proved that one. So I'm just, still working on it, and just follow your dreams. Don't give up.
Big time night tomorrow night scheduled for Southern Iowa Speedway. What are you expecting there? It's going to be a busy night. 7 classes will be in action. You're going to be looking for win number 1 on the season. What are you expecting? Obviously, you're hoping that the clouds stay away, but besides that, what are your thoughts going into tomorrow?
Number 1. Hopefully we can just get that number 1 spot. I mean, we managed to pull one off near the beginning of the season last year, so that was pretty good for us. So hopefully we can do something like that again this year, for sure. I mean, who knows what the track's going to be like tomorrow, because it might rain, it may not, who knows.
We never know. But congratulations on a great start. Congratulations on being recently engaged, by the way, as well. We haven't got a chance to talk about that at all. Let's talk about that real quick.
Sure.
Take me through how that's been for you, because I went through that whole process a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So how has that been? It's always good to have that figured out as well.
Yeah, we got engaged. Pretty simple. No, I'm kidding. She's going to kill me later. But, yeah, I mean, we knew each other back in high school. We always talked, hung out, and that sort of thing. And, high school sweethearts, if you would.
Jumping in the race car didn't stop that from happening?
No, nothing. Following my dreams, man.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, a couple years later, dating, finally popped the question, and now we're engaged. So, well,
congratulations. Hopefully you are able to get that win as to start this season as well. Maybe a championship on the horizon.
That'd be even better.
That'd be a good wedding gift for yourself. I think.
For sure.
But Austin Paul, congratulations on a great start, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow night.
Thanks.
That is Austin Paul. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to jump and talk to Safe Graphies in the hobby stock division over at Southern Iowa Speedway. That's coming up right after this. It's the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Ottumwa's only locally owned auto parts store, Danny's Auto Supply, not only offers great prices on the quality parts and supplies you need for your vehicle, they also now offer complete car care. From brakes, oil changes to a major overhaul, Danny's Auto Supply has you covered from A to Z with parts and now a full-time automotive technician on staff. Danny's Auto Supply is located at 827 East Main in Ottumwa. See them for all your auto parts and vehicle needs. That's Danny's Auto Supply, Ottumwa's only locally owned auto parts store.
This is Mike Serig with Vital Ministries, and we are looking forward to this new race season right here in Oskaloosa. We have many options for you race fans to get plugged in on a weekly basis throughout the season. We have a radio broadcast every Sunday morning at 8:30 on KBOE 104.9 FM, and we also send out daily inspirations for both men and women on our vitalministries.org webpage 6 days a week. So don't just sit there and let the summer speed by. Come join us throughout the race season.
Call Terry Schroeder Alignment and Towing in Sigourney for your alignment and towing needs at 622-2269 or 641-660-5515. They feature 24-hour towing. You can trust Schroeder's experience with your towing needs. DOT license and insured. All insurance companies welcomed. For alignment, Terry Schroeder uses the Hunter Alignment System to get your vehicle back on the road in no time. Terry Schroeder Alignment and Towing, 413 West Clark in Sigourney.
Welcome back in. It's the Checkered Flag here on the No Coast Network, also on 104.9 FM KBOE. Emery Songer with you, and I'm being joined by another driver, a young driver, a new driver.
Yeah.
Safe Grafke, how's it going, sir?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
First things first, this is your first year racing out there on the track, so take me through how we got to this point. You're a young dude.
Yeah.
How did you get interested in racing, and how did you find yourself in a car here in 2017?
Sure. It all started when I was really young. My mom taught with a lady whose son raced sprint cars at Knoxville for years, and he got me tickets to the track every week, basically, and just kind of grew up around it. And then I had the opportunity to work on Brock Welch's stock car for the last 3 years, so that kind of motivated me. And last year he retired, so kind of the door opened and got a car, so that's what brought everything around. So.
Even talking to a young guy like Austin Paul just now, this is not something you master quickly, if you ever master it. But you got a chance, being in the pits to work on a car, kind of learn about the setup. When you get into the pits, I would not know even, the slightest idea of what to do with a car. But what did that experience give you to get you to the spot where you could be the guy? What kind of things were you working on? Especially the last 3 years in the pits?
Well, what it really taught me is time management, figuring out, all right, we roll in, we got this long till hot laps, we got to get the tires on or prep, check everything, make sure it's good. It just taught me a lot about how they really work, what goes into them. And so transitioning from working on to racing is a lot different, though, because now it's like you're the driver, you're the one putting on the fire suit, the gloves, the shoes, the helmet every night. So it's a little different there from going to working, because now I'm a little more off hands, but I'm still on hands. So it's a little different transitioning over the driving aspect for me, but so far it's gone okay. So we have a lot of improvement to do. So. Well,
you only got a chance here in Oskaloosa to race a couple of times, every guy I'm ever going to talk to in racing is never going to say that they do it all themselves. So now you are part of a team. Now you have a team that helps you out.
Yeah.
Who are some of the people that have been able to help you make this transition from in the pits to a very young driver?
Starting off, it starts with the support of my family. My grandparents, my mom, my stepdad, my uncle, all backing me. When I made the decision last year, I literally went home and said, hey guys, I decided I'm going to buy a race car, and automatically they had my back. Next up was finding a place, and Brock Welch and his family opened up their garage to me and said, let's put it in here, let's work on it here, like we did with his car. And my buddy Orrin, my buddy Adam, they come over and they help me, and some other people whose names they didn't want to get mentioned, but they've helped me after my wreck 2 weeks ago. So a big thanks to them for being able to go through my engine and stuff for me. So
you talk about that wreck. It was a wild ride. Just getting out there, just starting to race, getting adjusted to that. But it's not going to make it any easier to get adjusted to as your car left the four wheels that it usually rolls on. Take me through what happened in that race.
Just came into one a little higher than I anticipated, and another car kind of cut down in front of me, so I tried to move up a lane and just got a little loose, tried to correct out of it, and next thing I know, everything was sideways, and just braced myself for impact, and I was just on my side. So it's one of those things that happens, especially to a younger guy. That was my third race. We went down to Memphis when they had their first race of the year, and went down there and raced and got 6 out of 9, and then Oski, and then Oski again. So, but it just happens. You can't really control it necessarily, but it could have gone a little better than that. So.
Well, I think everybody has those nights, especially in a hobby stock where there's a lot more rubbing and racing than necessarily would happen in a sport mod or a modified, those open-wheeled cars. So why hobby stock?
Well, one, budgetary cuts and things like that. I had a great opportunity to buy the car off of a great kid out in New Share named Christian Huffman. He's the one that's like, here's the deal with it, and it was just going to be a good thing, since I knew how to work on the 350 engines and, engines like that. It was just an easy transition, I knew it was going to be easier than starting off in like a sport compact or something like that. So.
All right, so that makes sense to use your prior knowledge to be able to transition that into being a driver now. So you're one of those guys that probably exponentially each race you're going to find yourself getting a lot better and a lot better. What are a few things that you are expecting to get better at here more quickly as the season rolls on, if the weather will ever let you get back out there?
Yeah, we're hoping tomorrow night it's going to be the night to get back out there. Right now it's just setting small goals that are obtainable. My next goal is to get a top 10, be able to race with other cars, get used to being around other cars, try some passing, but right now it's kind of getting a feel for the car and getting a feel being around other cars. So the year-end goal is to have a top 5. So, but it's making sure that you set goals that are obtainable and that you can do. So it's not like I'm wanting to go out there and just saying, yeah, we're going to roll it into victory lane, but that'd be cool if that happened. But, realistically, a top 5 would be nice for the year. So.
And with as competitive as it is, we're talking to Austin in the sport mods. Well, the hobby stock's definitely is super competitive as well. A lot of fantastic cars that we've seen so far this season. So, what is your thought on the field that you have to try to compete with here in Oskaloosa every week?
Oh man, I mean, we got to talk about Shannon Anderson. He's a great driver.
One of the best in the nation. Yeah.
He is. I mean, we have a lot of good drivers. Dustin Griffiths. We had Danny Thrasher. He moved up this year. Scotty Scholl, a lot of good racers, and they're all pretty grizzled vets. So as a new guy coming into that class, it's a little daunting on you, but the thing with the race community here is everyone wants to help everyone. It's not like you're rolling in and it's like cutthroat. It's kind of like football. You're all a big family, but when it comes, the time to get out on the track, it's just you. But I mean, everyone here is great. Danny Thrasher's, he's given me a lot of kind words, and everyone else has, so I can only just thank them, really. So. And
that's how you get started. We'll talk to Danny in just a little bit about his move up to the stock car division. But for you, I talked to Austin about this, and you may not really even know yet, but it's just kind of, where you like to be on the track. Austin said 2/3 up the track in the turns is kind of where he likes to be most. In your limited experience in running here in Oskaloosa, where are the kind of spots on the track that you like to be the most?
So far the car really likes that bottom lane, just all the way down next to those Hoosiers. That's where it seems to really hook up good. I haven't tried the high side a whole lot. It seems like it wants to be a little loose up there, but that bottom side, it seems pretty fast with that car. It likes to hook up pretty well on the bottom side. So
what's the kind of setup that you kind of like? Austin said he really likes it be tight, a tight race car. Yeah. Is there a particular setup that you've tried so far in your first few races that has felt a little better than the others? Well,
right now we haven't really messed with setup. From what everyone's told me is leave it how it is for the first couple nights. Get it. I got to get a feeling for the car first, and that's what everyone said. They said, don't mess with the setup yet. Give it a few more nights, and then tweak it from there. The car's it seems a little loose to me personally, which is okay, but I'd like to tighten it up just a little, maybe moving forward into the year or so.
All right, so now that we're talking about, the race car and you're actually out there driving, who are some of the guys that you looked up to as you were getting into this? Some guys not necessarily that you've been in contact with that have helped you get started, but even just guys that you've been reading about or watching on TV or just that got you interested in racing and that you've taken some lessons from as you decided to get behind the wheel?
Sure. I think one of the big ones was Tony Schelling. Like I said, he's the one that got me really started into it, and Shannon Anderson, watching Howard Gordon out here on the track Wednesday nights, wheeling that stock car around, and just coming out here on Wednesday nights. We have one of probably the best tracks in Iowa, and so the racing has always been just phenomenal out here to watch. So just being able to watch it's like, I'd like to do that someday. I want to run out at this track, and now I've made that dream a reality, and going forward we'll see what happens next. So
You're just starting, so I don't want to put too much pressure on this question for you. But the fact that, a lot of guys start in one division with the idea that one day I want to be driving this. What's that for you? What is the end goal? What is, for you right now, Safe Grafke, what does he want to drive when, he's in his mid-30s and he's got, he's the grizzled vet now that's helping these young guys out. What do you want to be? What do you want to be driving?
Yeah, I'd like to make the transition up to stock car or B mod. I could see myself doing that. Nothing super crazy, not a late model, definitely not a sprint car. Those guys are pretty crazy. I've been around those. I worked on a few of them, but I'd like to move up to the stock car and maybe the sport mod division. I'd like to stay in hobby stocks a while, though. It's a good class. There's a lot of good drivers, so if you can make your name in hobby stocks down here, you can move up to a class, and I feel like that transition would be pretty good. So.
Okay, so now that we've talked about that, did you watch, like I asked Aaron or Austin this, did you watch any NASCAR or anything? Is there like a certain level of interest that you took in racing in general before you had an opportunity to work on cars?
Yeah, I used to watch NASCAR when I was younger, and I was a big Jimmy Johnson fan. I don't know why, but I just...
Well, he wins an awful lot, so...
Well, yeah. But, yeah, I watched NASCAR. I was a big Jimmy Johnson fan, so, I mean... Now that I am racing and stuff like that, it's kind of like, oh yeah, he races too. That's kind of cool. But yeah, definitely him and Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's a good.
That's also a guy that does a lot of dirt track stuff, in between, and made his name as well. Is there anything like that you'd like to kind of tinker around with? When you're talking about maybe jumping on some asphalt at some point.
Yeah, I haven't thought about asphalt. I really like the dirt. There's so many variables. The track's never going to be the same. That's what I like about dirt racing compared to NASCAR. There's a lot more variables in dirt racing and stuff like that. NASCAR's a little more subtle, and it's a little more, like that dirt. There's just so much differences that can happen. So
yeah, we notice that, especially when it is wet outside and sometimes it's too dry on the track. There's a lot of different ways that Mike Van Ganderen does a great job in making sure that track is good for the racers, because he knows what he's doing when it comes to that. So you've only raced, you mentioned, 2 tracks so far. What are some other places that you'd like to get the car to as you cut your teeth in the driving business?
Just Southern Iowa Speedway, and go down to Memphis when they let us race down there. That's about it, though. With time constraints with work and getting the car ready and stuff like that, Memphis was just going to be the other option. I really like that track. So.
All right, awesome. So not trying to do too much, and you talk about attainable goals, especially for your first season here. So as the season does progress, you've only gotten a chance a couple of times to be out there. So what is looking forward to tomorrow? I think everybody's kind of antsy to get back in the cars, be able to drive them at Southern Iowa Speedway. We're going to have a huge night there with the Sprint Invaders and the dirt trucks back as well with the 5 normal IMCA classes that we see. What is your, expectation going into tomorrow, and what are you hoping that you're able to accomplish tomorrow night?
Well, we're wanting to finish the race, put a good show on for my sponsors, which are MCG, Michelle Purdom Legacy Real Estate, Oskaloosa News, and JT Trucking. So we want to definitely make them proud. Very lucky to have them as sponsors, and so we just want to go out there and get in and get the show on. So.
And what I find interesting is that's what all the guys want. Everybody would love to win, but they want to put on a good show for the fans. We need the temperature to rise a little bit, I think, to have our first really good night out there. But for you, your personal memories of watching, and now that you're in the car, for a kid that might be 10 or 11 years old and really likes going to the races, or likes seeing what happens at the track, whether they go to Knoxville or Southern Iowa Speedway or anywhere else, what do you have to say to them to, what should be the first thing or the first couple of things they should think about or do if they want to end up in a hobby stock in their early 20s?
Sure. The first thing is get out there and go to the races. Go as many times as you can. Come down to the pits and talk to us, whether you just want an autograph or you want to maybe sit in the car. It's all about having the exposure to it, and I urge parents to bring your kids out. We need more fans. Fans are what drive us, really, and I have a lot of fans, and I'm, lucky to have them. But, we need more, and it's just about getting the exposure to the track, getting out there, coming out, watching. You don't have to have a favorite driver. You don't have to have a favorite car. It's just going out there and getting exposure. So that's what really will set the wheels in motion. And then, just saying, hey, I've been to the races a lot. I'd like to maybe come down and sit in the pits with you guys or something like that. So if you ever want to do that, if any fans ever want to do that, just come on down. We're the 65 car. Can't really miss us. So just come on down. We just have a good time. So. Yeah,
65, the IPCA Hobby Stock Safe Graphic. We'll get you out on this. As a young fellow now getting a chance to be the guy on a team, what's the timeline you have here? Obviously, you're a very, very young dude, but yeah. What are some, life milestones that you have lined up? Is there a certain age you want to be jumping into a stock car? Is there something you want to accomplish before a certain age? Because you are just getting started in life, not just in a race car.
Yeah, definitely a big one right now is getting through college. So
you're telling me you work on the car, and you take classes.
And I take classes out at Penn.
That's unreal.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I get it all worked out. We get everything done. We get good grades. So yeah, it's kind of a handful, but if you have a dream and you want it bad enough, you make it work out. So, and this has been a dream of mine, and I'm able to live it out. It's not always the best dream at times, especially like 2 weeks ago, but it happens, and it's part of the experience. But yeah, I'm pretty fortunate to be able to do it, and I think we're going to try to get into a stock car here probably in about 7 or 8 years. I'd like to really be able to get through and drive the hobby stock for a while, so the transition to the stock car is going to be a lot easier. It's not going to be kind of like I drove this car for 3 years and now I'm in a stock car and it's all really new again. I want to be able to get a really good feel first before we jump into that. So,
well, I can tell you this: it takes a lot of guts to drive any kind of car, especially as fast as you guys are going here at the Southern Iowa Speedway. Congratulations on being able to drive a car, and congrats on being able to survive one of the first big wrecks of the season over at Southern Iowa Speedway. But good luck tomorrow. Good luck the rest of the season, and it's going to be very exciting to see how you continue to progress here, especially here in Oskaloosa.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on this program. It's awesome you guys are doing this, and yeah, we'll see what happens in the future here. So hopefully we can keep her on all fours tomorrow night for you guys. So we'll see what happens, though. It's always a new night, always a new challenge out there. So
excellent. That's Dave Grafke, the driver of the 65 car in the hobby stock division, and he'll be in action with all of the rest of the guys in 7 separate classes coming up tomorrow at Southern Iowa Speedway. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We have one more guest for you right after the break. Danny Thrasher will be sitting in this chair next to me. It's coming up right after this on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
Spring is here, and so is racing season. Every race car driver knows how important it is to take care of their car. At Oskaloosa's Quality Car Wash, it's more than just a name. It's what they offer. The touchless car wash has no brushes and won't leave any scratches. There are 4 options to choose from, and all will leave your car looking spotless. Quality Car Wash is located at 1101 A Avenue West in Oskaloosa. Race in to Oskaloosa's Quality Car Wash today.
Hi, we are Caleb and Carissa. And Kate. And our dad is Boomer. You know the guy that owns Vanderbeek Truck Accessories. If you're in need of truck or SUV accessories, come see our dad. He offers what you need to be riding in style. He'll make your truck cool, and he'll make you smile. Call 628-9350 or stop on the east side of Pella on Oskaloosa Street. Tell Dad the kids sent you.
At Pepsi, we think it's important to celebrate stuff in life.
Like when you text that really cute guy you met at a party on Friday, and he immediately texts you back. You celebrate with an ice-cold Pepsi.
Or your friend turns on the radio, and your absolute most favorite new song just happens to be playing. That calls for a Pepsi, too.
Because when you and your roommate order a pizza, and the delivery guy throws in extra breadsticks, no charge?
Break out the Pepsi.
Welcome back. My third and final guest of the Checkered Flag show tonight on KBOE Radio and the No Coast Network is Danny Thrasher. Sir, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you're driver number 84 in the IMCA stock car division. You are out of agency. Your first year in the stock car, you've ran the hobby stocks, you've been racing. I asked the other two guys so far this, how did you get involved in racing? How did you get interested in it? And how did we get to this point?
Well, in high school, I had a good friend, Jason McDaniel, who races out here in a sport mod. We hung out all the time, and he built a two-man cruiser, and I started helping him out, filling in, substitute driving a little bit. He moved up to the hobby stocks. We graduated high school, went to college together, and finally, eventually, I said, you know what, I like driving those, so I built a hobby stock, and the rest is history.
All right, so being in the hobby stock now, you've jumped to the stock car. How did that decision come about? I'm talking to Safe here. It sounds like just kind of a natural progression eventually, kind of a graduation of sorts for somebody who's really mastered it, looks for a new challenge. What went into that decision in the off season to try to, jump out of a hobby stock and into a stock car?
Well, it's always been kind of my goal, I guess, to drive a stock car. It's my favorite class to watch. I know a lot of people in the stock cars throughout the years. Especially up here at Oskaloosa, all the big name drivers that's come through here have all been, had their time in the stock car. And it was just that time, my hobby stock had 4 years on it, so I was gonna either have to build a new hobby stock or move up. So I decided to move up. I had a opportunity to buy a good car that I knew was a good car, so I went with it and just kind of flying by the seat of my pants at this time.
All right, so when you talk about getting involved, a guy like Jason McDaniel got you going in it, but there are people that help you make the dream work for yourself as well. Who are some people that have been able to get you going here as we've continued your career from, working on a two-man cruiser to now driving a stock car in Oskaloosa?
Well, Jason's never stopped helping me. He's involved with racing probably more than anyone I know personally, so he always is there for help, advice, what to buy, when, along those lines. Had a friend, I still have a friend, Shane Weller, who's raced and he's retired now, but he helps me on setup because he had some stock car success, and you meet a lot of racers when you're racing and become friends outside of racing with them. And Nathan Wood, who is a household name around here, he's helped me quite a bit getting the stock car put together the right way and getting everything lined out to try to make a successful run in the stock cars. And then, you have lots of friends that help in the garage on a weekly basis, sponsors that stop by and turn a wrench or just give you encouraging words, etc. Just basically everyone that you meet in life, whether it be racing friends or regular friends, they just kind of support you and keep you going throughout the season. So
that's what I find to be very interesting. I find the science of racing really interesting. I talked to the other two guys about kind of where they like to be on the racetrack. Is it any different, before I even get to that question, is it any different kind of in the feel between getting out of the hobby stock and into the stock car? And I mean, you could even tell me about the two-man cruisers too, kind of, how the cars kind of feel differently when you're out on the track.
It's a huge difference from a hobby stock to a stock car. Actually, in my opinion, the stock cars are easier to drive because they give you more opportunities to put performance parts on your car, tires, bead locks, better brakes, better engines, steering's better. It's no wonder the stock car class is so competitive because you're in such good control of the car when you're racing close with somebody that you're not going to just smash into them. You're going to be able to race with them clean. Whereas the hobby stock, sometimes it got a little shaky. You get in traffic and you're not quite in control of the car as much as you could be. So I'm still learning. I've only got 3 nights on it right now because of all the rainouts, but I think it's going to be a lot better racing and funner to drive in my opinion. So we'll see how it goes.
What's it like driving a two-man cruiser? Were you steering or running the pedals?
I was the throttle guy, so and the car I drove was a really well-handling two-man cruiser, so just keep her to the floor and he'll do the rest. And that's what he did. So
That's
it was
awesome.
pretty fun.
All right, so now as you mentioned, this season's been kind of a slow starter for everybody because just the weather has not been, ideal for racing. So what have you learned so far this year? Obviously being in the stock car division, the first, as a guy who's not been, around racing that much, been able to see some of these guys, watching those stock cars first and 2 nights here in Oskaloosa, they've put on the most exciting races, whether it be in heats. We saw a photo finish in one of the heat races the last time we got a chance to be out there. And we talk about the feature races, the passes, the last lap passes. If Dustin Griffiths wouldn't have had a tire cut down, who knows if he might have had a shot at taking the lead there.
Yep.
So what have you seen being a part of such a loaded class in terms of talent, and you talked about it, good handling cars?
It's a little overwhelming, I'll be honest. It's almost when you get up towards the front there. I got a peek at the front there the last time we were out here. I'm racing with like Nathan Wood, Dustin Griffiths, Damon Murdy, Mike Hughes, all cars that are fast statewide. No matter where they go, they're all fast. And yeah, they're fast, but they're also in control. So you kind of get a little bit of a peaceful feeling when you're racing against them. So while it's competitive, there's also some skill that's there that I think I'm going to enjoy racing with those guys. So I'm happy to be in a stock car, and I'll be happy when I get fast and can actually compete a little bit better. So.
All right, so we talked to Safe. This is his first year. Is this his first year driving any car? And he's got a goal by the end of the season. He wants to have a top 5 finish. What are some goals for your first year here in a stock car?
I would say just be a consistent top 3 car. A win would be very tough, but that's my ultimate goal. I guess is get a win at some track, whether it be Oskaloosa, Eldon, Bloomfield, Memphis, wherever it may be. But just to be a top 4 competitor, not tear people up, and just be there at the end of the race. I'd say that's my goal for this year.
All right, so where do you like the car? You've only been in a stock car 3 times, like you said. Where is the ideal line so far for you that you feel like your car handles the best?
So far it's the bottom, but I think that's because Oskaloosa has been pretty bottom heavy this year. So, I'm not against running the top or the bottom or the middle. I guess I just follow where the track is. I think it's more fun when the track's wide open around the top, as long as you can pass. Nobody likes a 1-lane track, but it's funner to me to be wide open around the top side of the track, I'd say.
All right, so as you progress to that point, as you progress to get to the top spot, who are the sponsors that are helping you get to this point? Because everybody not only gets those hands-on help, but you mentioned it, the sponsors, just being able to support you in some way, shape, or form definitely means a lot to the drivers. Who are some people that have helped you out in that regard?
I've got sponsors. Be Travis Signs Construction, runs a carpentry business around home. Burley Construction, Snyder Construction, Gothic Town Grillers, Pro Street Staff, which those are just some race fans that like racing, so they throw in some money to have a little stake in the car. Sharky Frame is always there. If I bend the frame up, he dials me right back in, helps me stay competitive. Let's see, I'm forgetting somebody. Chalmy's Bar and Grill out of Eldon. And I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody, but that's my basic sponsors.
It's a long list, and when you talk to drivers, one of the first things they do is thank the people that are around them and thank those sponsors. But you have to do quite a bit for everybody else too. You got to make sure that you know what you want in that car, so the people helping you out and kind of dial it in. How do you like the car to handle? You like it tight? You like it loose? Is there any certain preference on a setup, whether it be in a hobby stock or a stock car?
I like it a touch loose, I guess, just to where the car will steer and you're not fighting it. I can always back my throttle foot out a little bit to keep the car under me. When it's tight, there's not really much you can do with it. So if it's going to be not perfect, just balanced and maybe a touch loose. And I also forgot a big sponsor, Big Hat No Cattle Company, and Mark Sheets helped me out quite a bit.
All right, we did get him in there.
Yeah, got him.
All right, so you mentioned Eldon, Bloomfield, Memphis, along with Oskaloosa places you race. Is there anywhere else? Is that something you try to do every single week?
No, right now I'm gonna commit to Oskaloosa weekly and just hit and miss other places as the car allows. I'm not gonna go travel a bunch and tear the car up because I'm not settled into a stock car yet. So I've kind of been waiting for Oskaloosa to get a groove going with some weather, and if I start feeling the car a little better and feel more comfortable, I'll start traveling. I might hit Columbus Junction or West Liberty up and just kind of see where everything goes.
All right, so with that stock car, with the fantastic field of cars we see in Oskaloosa, huge night, Super Wednesday as they're calling it tomorrow. You're going to be a part of it. You know, assuming, you don't want to assume anything with Mother Nature, but assuming we get to drive tomorrow, we got the Sprint Invader's going to be there, the dirt trucks are there, plus all the 5 regular classes, Sport Mods, Modified, Sport Compacts, the Hobby Stocks, and your stock cars. What are you expecting? You know, you're going to have a loaded infield, you're going to have a packed house, and I think a lot of people with the itch to see some racing, get out there and race for the first time in 3 weeks. What are you expecting tomorrow night?
It'll be exciting. Anytime you get those classes visiting, you know, there's a little bit of an environment boost. More people in the stands, more people in the pits, a little more publicity. I think it's going to be streamed on the internet. Just gives you a little bit of more nerves before the races, knowing that everybody's watching you. The track's usually smooth when the big classes are there because, you know, they work the track over a little bit better. It should be a good show. I think the track's got just the right amount of moisture in it right now. The track should hold up pretty nice. I know they work hard on the track every week. So I guess it'll be a good show to come check out the Southern Iowa Speedway tomorrow night.
All right, that's definitely going to be something. Again, early start for that at 7:15, and you can hear the action also on 104.9 FM KBOE. Danny, we'll get you out on this. The most important thing for a driver, you know, especially one that's, you know, inexperienced at the position you are right now, is kind of, you know, making sure that they learn as much as they can and, you know, get consistent before they think about anything else. But I'm going to put you on the spot anyways.
Okay.
What are some goals that you have long-term in racing? Is there another, you know, goal like maybe Sport Mods, Modifieds? Is there a different kind of car that you'd like to be able to drive? Is there anything that you'd like to just test out, maybe an asphalt racing, maybe hop in a sprint car? Is there anything that you'd like to see yourself doing, or is this really what you want to be doing in a race car?
I think as far as racing goes, stock cars as far as I go. It's always just kind of been in my mind that, you know, someday I want to drive a stock car, and I don't really have the time or the finances to move up much further unless somebody wants to put me in a late model or something cool like that. But personally, no aspirations to move past a stock car. I'll probably just race stock car as long as I feel like I'm having fun and it's worth the time and money. After that, I think I'll just become a pirate ship captain and sail the open seas.
Pirate ship captain, do you have any preference on ocean?
Nope. All 7 seas are going to be my territory.
All right.
Yeah.
So if you are afraid of plundering, this man is going to be finding you, I'm sure.
That's correct.
Danny, I appreciate you coming in on the show. We'll have you on again sometime to kind of check and see how it's going in there, because I know right now you don't really know how it's going, but we will eventually get some racing in, and we'll see how it's going in that stock car. Again, Danny Thrasher, number 84 in the IMCA Stock Cars. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
That is Danny Thrasher. We are going to take one final break. When we come back, we'll kind of give you a little bit of a detailed look at what's coming up in local tracks the rest of this week, and let you know what else might be hopping up on our airwaves. That's coming up right after this on the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network.
April at Motor and Auto Group in Knoxville means new deals on new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles on the lot. A 2017 Dodge Journey SXT 4-wheel drive is 23% off MSRP and saves you over $5,700. A 2017 Dodge Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab 4x4 is 20% off MSRP and saves you over $1,000 when you purchase. Or look good in a 2017 Dodge Charger SXT all-wheel drive, saving you over $6,900 with 20% off MSRP. The dealer that's easy to deal with and hard to beat. Motor and Auto Group in Knoxville.
Hi, I'm fake Sarah McLaughlin. When was the last time you really gave your car some love? Has your car been the victim of neglect over the winter? Does it have old French fries in places that no one should ever have old French fries? Then wait no further. Pick up the phone and give Jeff at Vanderlinden Detailing a call right now. Give your vehicle the love it deserves, a full inside and outside detail. Make a difference today. Call Jeff at 641-780-0119 or follow Vanderlinden Detailing on Facebook.
RJ Performance wants to remind you that now is a great time to buy an Indian motorcycle. Use your tax refund for something you will love, or take advantage of great financing offers with payments starting as low as $99 per month. They are also honoring our heroes with greater discounts. Get $1,000 bonus for all active, reserve, National Guard, and retired military personnel, plus active and retired police, firefighters, and volunteer firefighters. Get ready for spring with a new Indian motorcycle today at RJ Performance in Ottumwa. See RJ Performance for details. Always wear a helmet, never drink and drive.
Lunatic Promotions is bringing you 2 nights of action with the largest demolition derby in the state of Iowa. Ranked as one of the top 10 derbies in the nation, the T-Bone Memorial Derby is June 9th and 10th at the Southern Iowa Speedway. Come watch hard-hitting drivers from all over the country battle in the full-size and compact class. Don't miss the T-Bone Memorial Derby, opening Friday night, the 9th at 7 p.m. at the Southern Iowa Speedway in Oskaloosa. Like Lunatic Promotions on Facebook.
Welcome back one final time on the Checkered Flag Show on 104.9 FM KBOE and on the No Coast Network. We appreciate you for joining us. We, of course, just getting this show underway. We're going to continue to have this show growing, and we'll hopefully have some highlights to show you next week as part of the show, because Mother Nature should allow us to get some racing in, knock on wood, of course, at not just Southern Iowa Speedway, but also Knoxville and Eddyville. So let's go ahead and talk about what they have coming up here in this week. It's Super Wednesday. We talked about it all night long at the Southern Iowa Speedway. They are going to be bringing the Sprint Invaders, and that is going to be joined with the Carl Chevrolet Dirt Trucks, the IMCA Modified Stock Cars, Sport Mods, Hobby Stocks, and Sport Compacts. It is Cable Vay Conveyors, Stittler's LED Supplies out of Washington, Iowa, and Oskaloosa True Value Night. So if we haven't been out there for 3 weeks, it's going to be a huge night. Be sure to come and check out some racing. But if you can't, we're going to have the Southern Iowa Speedway pre-race show on the air at 6 p.m. Be sure to check that out on 104.9 FM KBOE and on KBOEradio.com, along with the KBOE mobile app. After that, you can check out the live racing. We're starting a little earlier. They're starting the racing starting around 7:15. The hot laps are going to start at 6:45. The broadcast live from the Southern Iowa Speedway for our show on 104.9 FM KBOE on KBOEradio.com, and the KBOE mobile app will start around 7, right at the top of the hour, and give you all the live play-by-play of all 7 classes all night long. An unbelievable night of racing scheduled for the Southern Iowa Speedway tomorrow night. Along with that, we are going to be looking forward to Saturday, where Knoxville and Eddyville Raceway should have their races for this week. Slideways Karting Center night at the Knoxville Championship Cup Series with the 410s, 360s, and 305s, and military members get in free with valid military ID. And we will have video from that as well, assuming Mother Nature allows it to happen. And it's a full weekend of racing over at Eddyville Raceway Park. It starts on Friday night with Friday Fun Night as usual. They have the plus 32 car shootout. The test and tune, the gates will open at 5:30 p.m. on Friday night. There will be testing from 6 to 9:30 p.m. with some time trials at 7 p.m. with eliminations following that. Then on Saturday, it's another points race. The gates open at 9 a.m. Time trials begin at 11 a.m. They will have the elimination and the brackets to follow. And then on Sunday, another points race, and the gates will open at 8 a.m. Time trials will be at 9:30 a.m. And again, the eliminations are follow. So if you like drag racing, all 3 nights you're going to have an opportunity to check it out at Eddyville Raceway Park, so be sure to do that as well. And then, of course, Knoxville begins around 6:30. Their races are going to begin as usual over in Knoxville, and they'll have their 3 classes, the 410s, the 360s, and the 305s. Fantastic action over at Knoxville Raceway on Saturday. So along with that, we mentioned our broadcast that you can hear live tomorrow night at Southern Iowa Speedway, but be sure to check in next Tuesday for another edition of the Checkered Flag. We're going to make sure to give you all of the action from those tracks and get you prepared for what's going to happen. Of course, we'll have interviews as usual and be talking about plenty of items as well. So be sure to check out another edition of the Checkered Flag next week. And if you're much more into the baseball and softball aspect of things, tomorrow night we'll have another baseball game as well. You can check out the baseball broadcast on 99.5 FM and AM 740 KMZN as the Oskaloosa Indians take on Ottumwa. You can also watch that game. It's going to be videoed live, and that'll be on radiokmzn.com as part of the No Coast Network as well. And we'll be covering Oskaloosa baseball and softball all year long. And if you're interested in other area teams, we have softball and baseball games of the week. 6 of those lined up, including this Friday, our first one, Linville-Sully against North Mahaska in softball. And you can hear that on KBOE as well, 104.9 FM, KBOE, KBOEradio.com, and the KBOE mobile app. That begins around 5:45 for the 6 p.m. first pitch. I'd like to thank our entire crew for helping us out. I'd like to thank our guests tonight, Austin Paul, Safe Grafke, and Danny Thrasher. Thanks for them for coming into the studio and chatting with us about the race car and their racing careers, and good luck to them the rest of the season, and especially tomorrow night. I'd like to thank our director of the broadcast, George Henry. I'd like to thank Michael Leverton for doing all the good things back in the radio booth. This is Emery Sunger signing off. Thanks for joining us here on another edition of the Checkered Flag, and you've been watching it and listening to it right here on the No Coast Network.
This has been the Checkered Flag on the No Coast Network. 104.9 FM KBOE and all over the world at KBOEradio.com. The Checkered Flag has been presented by Danny's Auto Supply, Oskaloosa Quality Car Wash, Sigourney Body Shop, Vital Ministries, RJ Performance, Motor and Auto Group of Knoxville, Mahaska, Vanderbeek Truck Accessories, National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, Schroeder Towing and Alignment, and Vanderlinden Detailing. This has been the Checkered Flag on 104.9 FM KBOE and all over the world at KBOEradio.com. This has been a presentation of No Coast Network.